I guess you're on mute, maybe, so I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Welcome to Eurasia Research Online Live International Conference. Let's begin.
You believe you can move the highest mountains, cross the greatest ocean.
So I'm sharing this screen with you all.
And walk across the water. You feel defeated, falling on your knees and looking up for some hope tonight. You try to stand up, but you throw your hands up. You no longer have the strength to fight. You've seen too many sunsets, too many days ending in the darkest night. But on your own, you'll never know, you'll never know. If you believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, you think that all you need is faith, but it's almost like you lost your way. Took a few wrong turns, took a few breaks, falling behind now, looking for grace. Cause you need someone to lift you up, yeah, make right of the things you've done. Cause on your own, you'll never know, you'll never know. If you believe you move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe, if you believe it, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything if you believe. If you believe the highest mountain, across the greatest ocean, walk across the water. Believe you can move the highest mountains, across the greatest oceans, walk across the water. If you believe.
I am Dr. Kelly, and I'm currently the Dean of Graduate and Professional Studies at Salient University, as you can see in my background. And I'm currently the president of Terra Eurasia, and I've been involved multiple years with the organization as a participant.
Okay, welcome to Eurasia Research International Conference. Please allow me a moment to introduce Eurasia Research to you in a nutshell. Introduction. With over more than 1 million satisfied members and associates spread across the globe, Eurasia Research is a scholarly association who have been working for nearly a decade. Eurasia Research has organized several successful international conferences, workshops, and training programs at various reputed institutions and grand venues. Eurasia has been tirelessly working for research world and have not stopped their endeavors even during difficult times and have presented research community with online platform which was safe and convenient method to continue their passion. Objective: we are an international community of researchers, practitioners, students, and educationists who aim to bring together worldwide researchers and professionals, encourage intellectual development, and to create opportunities for networking and collaboration. These objectives are achieved through academic networking, meetings, conferences, workshops, projects, research, publications, academic awards, and scholarships. Some of our key highlights: we provide scholarship to deserving candidates to promote students and research scholars to participate in the international conference. Young researcher scholarship is provided in the form of a full registration fee waiver. We have vast experience of publishing papers for more than 7 years. Our associated journals publish original papers, review papers, conceptual framework, analytical and simulation models, case studies, empirical research, technical notes, and book reviews. We cater to more than themes in the area of teaching and education and have registered ISSN and have following renowned indexing Google Scholar, cross-check, authenticate, cross-ref, the Keeper's Registry, Script, Portico, Road, Directory of Open Access Scholarly Resources, OAIPMH, Registered Data Provider, PKP Index. We will soon be applying for Scopus too. We have a wide network of 100 plus internationally acclaimed keynotes across the globe who share their knowledge and guidance with our participants with open hands. We have a large number of committee members and advisors who support us and guide us through their expert opinions and decision making capabilities. We could not have the thought of reaching here without them. We also encourage our participants to connect with more than 15K plus followers on our social media platform where they can share their research and interests. Join our Facebook group and be a part of the discussions by researchers and academicians. We also have several collaborations with universities, colleges, and institutes to better serve all interested and like-minded intellectuals. With great enthusiasm and pride, we would like to request our participants to enjoy the benefits of our lifetime membership in just USD 60. We have over 10,000 plus members from across the globe. We would like to share some of our past participants' experience with you. Thank you for patience and valuable time. Moving forward with the conference.
Yes, that's the photo. Hold me, इधर come here.
Yes. Welcome to Eurasia Research Online Live Conference, 5th August 2025, 6:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Eurasia Research Online Live International Conference, 5th August 2025. Event is about to start. Today we have presentations and we are broadcasting this conference on Facebook Live on multiple pages of Eurasia Research. The links for the live sessions are shared in the chat box. I'm myself Kajal Sharma, and today I'm the conference host. Meet our TERA President Lynn M. Shelley, PhD, Higher Education Executive, Adjunct Professor, Boston College, Chestnut Hill, MA, USA.
Professional studies at Salient University, as you can see in my background. And I'm currently the president of TERA Eurasia, and I've been involved multiple years with the organization as a participant, as a speaker, as a keynote speaker, and as president. I'm very proud that brings people from all over the world globally together to talk about issues that affect higher education and other areas in education, other areas, profits, etc. And we talk about issues and successes, and together we can make it better and make it always be safe. And I always say ever evolve. So it was very difficult for all of us. And being in administration, I had to assist faculty in an immediate way to pivot from a face-to-face delivery of classroom time to electronic and Zoom and so forth. Many of these faculty members had no idea of the platform or any other learning delivery modules, the way that they could be delivered. So the administration really had to step in and pivot quickly. And I think overall, talking to my colleagues across the globe, I feel like they did a wonderful job doing that. I have to say, I don't think it was the same students, which is sad. Preschool all the way up to PhD, I think it was difficult. I think it was less difficult for graduate students and master's and doctoral programs because many of those were already online. So there wasn't much of a pivot, but I'm going to say pre-K baccalaureate, very difficult, and teachers and administrators were amazing. And I do think our students that lived through that need extra attention, and the research is bearing that out right now. And that's our job to try to find ways to make sure that we fill those gaps. I'm going to be very honest. I'm a people person. I'm a relationship person. I thrive on making real eye contact and making real connections with people. I much prefer an on-the-ground conference, a face-to-face conference. I did the keynotes for this organization in London last April, and again, London, I'm making that commitment to make that trip because I so deeply believe in the relationships and the bonds that are formed, as well as just during the conference, getting to know people and seeing different perspectives rather than just seeing those. Encourage them to attend a Eurasia conference in general because I believe in the organization. I'm president of the organization right now. I would encourage them to attend if they couldn't attend in person for financial or schedule or whatever reason. I would encourage them to attend, but I would encourage them to attend in person first. But always, and I continue to do that, encourage them to attend. Nothing but good things to say about the conference pre-COVID, and last year I did not attend an online conference, so I can't comment on that during COVID. But I can comment on pre-COVID and my experience last year in London. I truly find that the way it's organized in groups and the group work that goes on is different than just to sit and listen, which is what attracted me and why I said yes to becoming the president. It's organized in a way where it encourages that collegiality and that sharing of ideas and that sharing not only of the research that you present, but in small groups to broaden that discussion. So the way the conference is organized is welcome. Often I can't stay for the whole time because of my busy schedule, but I do stay for the one day that I keynote, and the participation is phenomenal. And other conferences that I've attended, as well as done keynotes, as well as done breakout sessions, they don't organize it that way. I organize my breakout sessions and keynotes in other organizations that way, because I feel from my learning styles research that I've done and published on, the best way people learn.
I just want to emphasize again, title. This is English and AI, that's my learning potential. And her research explored
So the eminent speaker for our today's conference is Barbara Cicerelli, part-time Academy of Faculty of Business and Economics, University of Applied Science, Amsterdam, Netherlands.
this is English and AI, that's my learning potential. And her research explored the learning potential of AI to enhance writing assignments and the role of assessment in the resulting hybrid tech. And by hybrid tech, I mean a collaboration between student writing and machine writing. Challenge, and that was I was trying to get permission from my students in the class to use their assignments in research. And in fact, what happened was that the students who did not use AI according to the instruction, they're the ones that didn't want to give permission. Maybe they were afraid of penalty, or they were embarrassed, or who knows what the idea was. But if they had given permission, that group, the presentation could have been a little more about learn as much as possible about assessing different tasks such as student writing, hybrid writing, collaboration between student and machine, and then just machine by itself. So looking at assessment, comparing the three different types. But the thing that came to mind or comes to mind for me right away is telling young researchers or advising young researchers to not be afraid to adjust, modify their research questions. Because for me personally, when I prepared this research, my focus developed over the period of the research, and I changed my research question at least 3 times. And I think that's very important. AI, because it's just developing more and more. I think there has to be ethical usage of AI, and that's what I try to teach my students. So teachers have a big role in teaching ethics in the usage, but I think you can't avoid AI. I mean, it's here and you have to accept it. It's just something I addressed in my presentation because students can use AI just as an answer generator. You've heard of that? You know, where they just put the whole assignment in and get an answer. I try to avoid that by the type of assignment description that I give. So you do have some room to determine how the students accept the assignment and how they complete the assignment. And it's our role as teachers to learn how to do that. I think. So, for instance, in my course, we read a number of articles that are AI in different sectors, and they all say that although the emphasis is on losing jobs with AI, so many more jobs are being created, and it's adding so much creativity to different sectors. So that's my feeling as well.
I totally agree as well. So, you have attended the conference in Amsterdam. So, I would really like to know your feedback about our conference and how did you feel?
Well, I was very positive, and I am very positive. I would say that the conference was a real game changer for me in terms of, well, it gave me the opportunity to spread my wings with writing and with presenting and with exploring different ideas about artificial intelligence and writing.
Have you ever wondered how airplanes fly despite of being almost 227 decades?
Okay, let's meet our first keynote speaker of the day, Dr. Shazia Malik, Institute of Education and Research, University of the Punjab, Lahore, Pakistan. Topic: exploring the best teaching strategies for classroom adaptation towards inclusive education in Pakistan. Okay,
Thank you
Shazia,
very much.
please continue with the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good morning to all the participants.
Good morning.
Here, yes, here it's me, Dr. Shazia Malik, Assistant Professor at the Department of Early Childhood Education, Institute of Education and Research, Punjab University, Lahore. My topic is about inclusive education. Inclusive education. For the inclusive education, first I need to discuss this term. What is inclusive education? Inclusive education is a process of addressing and responding to the diversity of needs of all learners through increasing participation in learning. Basically, this is the participation of all students. Increasing their participation in the classroom, we need to uh, join all the learners if they have any disability or not. About all learners, cultures and communities, they can belong from different cultures and from communities, and reducing exclusion from education. If they have any difficulty in their learning, or if they have any disability in their body, then we cannot exclude them from their learning or from the education. And from within the education, we have to join them in the classrooms as much as can. What is the inclusion? Inclusion is a term which convey assurance to educate each child to the utmost suitable level in a school and classroom where he or she had otherwise gone. That is general education. It involves bringing the support service to the child rather than moving the child to the services. I hope my points are more clear. Then, when I talk about the strategies for inclusion, strategies are the teaching ways how we can, being the teacher, we can teach the children in different children, different backgrounds, different culture, different communities to a single classroom. Then, for the strategy, how strategy we can adopt. There are some specific strategies for inclusive education. If I talk about for Pakistan, then in my country there are many of the children, they have the disabilities, they are in their learning, and disabilities for their body. Disabled children, when we talk about disabled children, then they are the special children. They can the disability in their body, in their limb. It is physical disability, it can be mental retardation, it can be deaf and dumb, and it can be their visual impairment. These children are called the disabled and special children. For the strategies, when we talk about the word strategy, this is the way how we can teach these type of children. But when I talk about the inclusive education, then inclusive education is relevant to the to teach the children if they have any other difficulty, like they have learning problem, if they are slow learner, if they want teachers specific attention, then this is called the strategies. Now come to the topic, most important topic, the strategies. First one is identify classroom environment. For their inclusive education, we need to identify how their classroom should be, how the environment should be. Facilities that meet the needs of all students, such as separate toilets for girls, accessible ones for wheelchair bound students, ramps with or without stairs for physically disabled students, a welcoming, healthy, and clean environment in the classroom, a plan to develop a skilled school staff to teach and deal with children having special education needs, availability of special education teachers to guide and facilitate inclusive class teachers. And my next point is about the professionals. Professionals can be occupational therapists, psychologists, speech therapists, which can identify help with a student's special educational needs. Then accessible and well-equipped library for all learners with special needs. Accessible computer labs for all students and links with existing health authorities who provides periodic health examinations for the children. Now we talk about the classroom environment. Classroom environment should be students are active learners instead of being the passive learners. Then we have to more focus to these active learners. All students get equal opportunity to participate. Students with disabilities are free to learn, and then students experience their success, learning goals, and specific attainable and measurable some challenge to face to them. Selection of students for inclusive education classroom. Students are selected according to their specific disability. As I elaborate earlier, it can be their physical disability, or it can be their learning disability. Now the characteristics of inclusive learning friendly classroom, then it can be the relationship between the teacher, between the students, and classroom environment. and then who is in the classroom? Basically, teacher will be available in the classroom, and teacher has the some teacher have to be the master in his or her abilities. Then the sitting arrangement should be accessible to each child. Learning material, textbooks, exercise books, chalkboard for children and for the teacher. Resources, the teacher is interacting with children without using any additional teaching material. Then lastly, the evaluation, then it can be the standard written examination or can be the verbal examination according to the disabilities of the students. Teachers role for inclusion, teachers role can teachers believes that all children, girls or boys, or wealthy or healthy or language or community culture disabled children can learn. Involvement, the teacher is involved in locating school age children. Then strong knowledge base, teacher must be strong knowledge based and competent. Teacher should be skillful, teacher should be powerful, and teacher has the powerful impact. About the students, students are the learners who are participating from formal and non-formal learning. Students in inclusive classroom are generally placed with their chronological age mates, regardless of whether the students are working above or below the typical academic level for their age. Next is about different strategies for classroom grouping. Teacher can make for inclusive education. Teacher can make their groups with the intelligent and slow learners. Curriculum and instructional needs. Curriculum, uh, according to the term curriculum is used in the number of different ways of parents' educations. Curriculum is the academic material and educator guidelines, students' activities that are acquired from any number of curriculum publishers. Lastly, the relationship between curriculum and instruction. Instruction is the formation and execution of purposefully developed plans for the teaching of curriculum content, while with curriculum being the content of what is taught along with an overall process of how that content is to be taught. Instructions being more detailed plans. Collaborations are teachers' collaboration with the partners of curriculum development, implementation, involvement of parents and stakeholders. Then there these strategies, when these are adopted for the inclusive education, then they best deal to for their inclusion, not their exclusion. No, there are other strategies like Universal Development Learning Program. Then we can also follow, and it's in process. It's not followed yet, but we are following in the teachers training programs UDL. They have to adopt this for inclusive education in each classrooms for the primary level schools or for the college level students if they are in higher education. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shazia, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Let's move ahead with the conference. To meet our next keynote speaker for today is Sita Sagaran, personal development trainer, lifestyle consultant, motivational speaker, author, mentor. Topic: the importance of car DM. Sita Sagaran is a personal development and lifestyle consultant, trainer, and motivational speaker with a background in English, psychology, counseling, including crisis and trauma counseling, hypnotherapy, metaphor therapy, and teaching children with special needs. She is also a licensed practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming from the Society of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, USA, and a distinguished Toastmaster DTM from Toastmasters International USA. In 2020, she launched her customized online personal and professional mentoring program, the the Nankarunesa mentoring program, Sita co-authored the motivational book Your Dose of Motivation in 2020. She shared some lessons from her life and attempted to simplify the concept of self-motivation. As a co-author of the motivational book, Women Who Inspire, published in 2021, she has elaborated on the importance of mentors in life and the positive impact mentors can make. She also co-authored the 2021 book of short stories, Sagas of Destiny. The same year, she co-authored an anthology of poems, Reverie. In 2022, she co-authored a published book on leadership. We Are Leaders, Expressions and Experiences. In 2023, she co-authored an anthology of poetry, Desert Storms, to commemorate the 51st National Day of the United Arab Emirates. In November 2023, her second co-authored book on leadership, Rise and Shine, The Power of Togetherness, was published. In 2024, her third co-authored anthology of poetry titled Smonde was published in April. She is co-authoring an anthology of short stories due for publishing in 2025 titled Shadows and Light.
You, Eurasia Research, for the welcome and the opportunity. You, Eurasia Research, for the welcome and the opportunity to present my session on comedy. A Latin phrase meaning seize the day. By living life in the present, individuals can become more mindful about their values, choices, their current existence as well as future. How does it happen? But before we get on to how it help us, let us talk a little bit about adulthood. In adulthood, unlike in childhood, individuals have a lot more personal, social, and of course, professional responsibilities and commitments. And it's important for us to realize just what is it that we are giving importance to. Do we have a balanced life? Talking of balance, I was speaking to a friend of mine today whom I admire immensely, and she was mentioning about how she balances her personal as well as her professional life. Talking of professional life, we might think that, oh, there are things that we just need to complete. So let us focus only on that. But seizing the day implies a lot more. So how do we tackle the challenge of keeping a balance and focusing on things that truly matter? When I like to talk about seizing the day, I always think about my childhood years. During my childhood years, when my father was extremely busy setting up and establishing his business, what I would notice is he was always present. When I say present, it's about his awareness about what he's doing at a specific time. If he's watching with us, let's say Tom and Jerry cartoons, he would be there, totally involved, enjoy the cartoon as much as fun, or maybe even more. And if he's taking us for a drive, he would be absolutely immersed in that process, including telling us a little bit about the places when we're going in the car with him. So that is something which I learned when I was little, is about how during adulthood, we are able to seize the day. And when I talk about it, making it the most, so come to significant fact. All of us have moments of prestige, don't we? But how effective are overcoming this challenge? And that is something we are able to improve on if we start making the best of each day. When I talk about procrastination, I remember many years ago, especially during my school years, when I was not particularly keen to ensure that I do the best as a student, I would keep having something that would come to my mind that I would get sidetracked with. And I think many of you may still be experiencing that. So how does seizing the day matters, and how does it count? How does it change this habit? Very simple. It helps us to become more purposeful, to become more aware about what we wish to do, how we wish to do, and when we wish to do. So the moment we become aware of this, we start realizing the value of each day, of every moment that we are alive. Another way that we are able to enjoy our life better by following this approach of seizing the day would be through experiences. What is so important about experiences? Now, experiences are important to those who value their time, who value what they give attention to. And the advantages of following this approach is that you also are able to reach a certain balanced day. And apart from balance, as I mentioned earlier, it's about cultivating gratitude. How do we cultivate gratitude? When we become more aware about what is working for us, when we become more aware about the opportunities that we find in our lives, we are going to be more fine-tuned, more sincere about making sure that we are grateful for what we enjoy. And this feeling enhances well-being. It enhances overall health and creates wonderful, beautiful memories for us to cherish. And of course, when we talk about seizing the day, another point that comes to my mind about valuable opportunities. Now, you may think I had discussed about opportunities earlier, but no. When I talk about opportunities, I want to tell you more a little story. It's a case which I came to know very recently. I've known a family for many, many years. And when I came to know that their child is getting married at the age of 18, which I consider rather young, to getting married, when they mentioned, my first feeling was of immense compassion. Because unfortunately, I was not in a situation to guide the parents perhaps they need to rethink their decision about getting married. But she did get married, and she had just completed her schooling and had barely begun her college years. She got married. Unfortunately, she had stopped her college years immediately after marriage, and later she was blessed with 2 children as well. And I wondered, how is she doing? And the other day when I spoke to her, I was extremely happy to know that she's now working after completing her online graduation degree. And not just working, she recently got promoted and she's currently pursuing postgraduate studies, which I think is truly admirable. It is admirable for the simple reason that she has been able to grab the opportunity that and grabbing opportunities is the way that we are able to make the best of our life. And as I'm sure you all agree with me when I talk about grabbing opportunities, it is about grabbing opportunities with integrity and values. To quote someone, or rather an anonymous person, time is a very all there is ever is the now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request all of you to make sure that this is an approach that you imbibe into your life, because it is a life-changing decision that you make the moment you start. Wishing you all the very best for all your personal and professional endeavors. Best wishes. Thank you.
So team activity and photo session. Let's proceed towards our team building activity. Sometimes we miss the opportunity of connection and linkage with fellow participants of the conference. This team activity is to encourage interaction among all the participants. One by one, we will share the views and solutions on the topic of discussion, and also we will be conducting a photo session during the same. Everyone, please turn on the cameras for the photo session. Yes, everyone, please turn on the cameras. Shazia, Safa, Todd, Camilo, Jero, Eileen, please turn on the cameras. All of you, please. Everyone. Camilo, Eileen, are you there? Okay. Thank you, all of you. Let's proceed with the conference. So our first presenter of the conference is Oleg Yavoruk, independent scholar, unaffiliated, St. Petersburg, Russia. Topic: Learning physics inside virtual reality.
I start my presentation.
1 minute, Oleg. First team building activity video I will start.
I made a mistake in my life, and that is after having so many years of experience, I never created a personal brand as a leader for my executive presence within the organization. Every single time I have to speak, my mind goes blank, and I don't know why I fumbled and why I'm not able to do it. And this is something that is actually blocked my career. So even after 10 to 12 years of experience, do you still struggle with this?
It's easy to tell when someone's not paying attention, but it can be surprisingly tricky to know what truly excellent listening looks like. Behavioral scientists have found that good listening is one of the most important things we can do to improve our relationships, develop our worldview, and potentially even change people's minds. So what can we do to become better listeners? At its core, listening in a one-on-one conversation is about taking an interest in another person and making them feel understood. Easy to tell when someone's not paying attention, but it can be surprisingly tricky to know what truly excellent listening looks like. Behavioral scientists have found that good listening is one of the most important things we can do to improve our relationships, develop our worldview, and potentially even change people's minds. So what can we do to become better listeners? At its core, listening in a one-on-one conversation is about taking an interest in another person and making them feel understood. There's no universally agreed upon definition of high quality listening, but some recurring features include attentiveness, conveying understanding, and showing a positive intention towards the speaker. This doesn't mean you can simply go through the motions. Researchers have found that merely smiling and nodding at set intervals doesn't quite work. However, there is something slightly performative about listening in that it's important to show that you're doing it. So in addition to actively attending to the speaker's words, good listeners also use questions and body language that indicate their to understand. This might feel and what's most effective might depend on your relationship with the speaker, but with time and practice, you can internalize these basic behaviors. So let's say a good friend wants to tell you about an issue they're having with their partner. Before even starting the conversation, remove any distractions in the environment. Turn off the TV, take off your headphones, put your phone away. Far. One study showed that even the visible presence of a phone made conversations feel less intimate and fulfilling to those involved. Once the conversation begins, one of the most important things you can do is also the most obvious. Try not to interrupt. This doesn't mean you need to stay silent, but if you do interject, look for natural pauses to ask open-ended questions that benefit the speaker, not just your curiosity. Questions like, what will happen next? Or, how did that make you feel? Confirm that you're following the story while also helping the speaker dive deeper into their own thoughts. Another great way to show your understanding is by summarizing what you just heard and asking if you missed anything. Summaries like these show the speaker that you're truly trying to understand them, rather than just waiting for your turn to talk. Speaking of which, while a good conversation requires back and forth, planning out your response while a speaker is talking is a common way to miss what's being said. So try to stay present. And if you lose focus, don't be shy about asking the speaker to repeat what you missed. This might feel embarrassing, but asking for clarification actually shows that you're committed to understanding. Finally, don't be afraid of silence. It's okay to ask for a moment to formulate your response, and taking a beat to think can help speakers reflect on their speech as well. These might seem like small changes, but together they make a big difference. And when people feel heard, they report satisfaction, trust, and connection in their relationships. In the workplace, employees who feel heard generally experience less burnout and perceive the managers who listen to them favorably. Unfortunately, while it might be easy to listen to some people, it can be hard to muster all this focus and attention if you disagree with, dislike a speaker. But these situations might actually benefit most from your efforts to listen openly. The theory of psychological reactance suggests that trying to force someone to change their mind makes them more likely to defend their point of view. However, recent studies suggest that high-quality listening fosters open-mindedness by creating a non-judgmental and psychologically safe environment. Of course, truly open-minded listening isn't about changing people's minds. Good listening is not the same as agreeing, and conversations don't have to end with a happy resolution. But even during disagreement, sometimes being heard is enough to start a deep conversation.
So what happens if you can't connect to someone? Or worse, what happens if they reject you? Learn what makes rejection such a uniquely painful experience and how to work through it with this video. Or get more actionable science-based advice on how to build character at ed.ted.com/build character.
Oleg, can I start your presentation or you will give it physically?
I should start, okay?
Okay.
My name is Oleg. I am going to show you 14 slides. And I have prepared 2 gifts for you at the end of my presentation. This is title slide, Learning Physics Inside Virtual Reality, guided by generalized plans of Antonina Vasilyevna Usova. Antonina Vasilevna Usova is one of the most famous educational researchers. She discovered generalized plans at the late 1960s, and now they are known by her name. According to Usova, generalized plans are the key to learning physics. As it turns out, generalized plans are easy to apply with new educational technology. These plans were obtained by generalizing the answers to questions such as what do you know about this physical quantity and how would you describe this physical quantity? This slide shows a generalized plan, physical quantities. The complete list of generalized plans also includes the rules for reporting scientific facts, describing physical objects and phenomena, learning laws and theories of physics, conducting observations and experiments, studying the equipment. I hope you see my presentation. I hope everything is okay. Students are encouraged to create such plans on their own and then apply them. Since the questions of the plan are generalized, they facilitate generalized thinking. Students acquire the skills to build a verbal, oral, or written answer. Generalized plans are of exceptional importance for the following educational issues: structure of knowledge, learning skills, interdisciplinarity, and pedagogical experimentation. The structure of knowledge should be sought not in the abstract and scholastic disputes of philosophers or logicians, but in the routine of successfully solving everyday educational problems. This moves educational epistemology from abstract speculations to an area that can be explored experimentally in physics classes. With the plans in hand, we can teach the learning skills in a straightforward and universal way: how to make any observations and experiments, how to read, study texts. Generalized plans give an advantage to students who want to learn physics on their own. This slide shows the generalized plan observation. The surprise was that all areas of natural sciences, and sometimes beyond them, may be unified with the generalized plans. They are easily applicable in contemporary interdisciplinary teaching. This slide shows a generalized plan physical phenomena. Generalized plans provide a simple calculation technique for educational experimentation, commonly referred to as elemental and operational analysis, and which is now successfully applied in educational research. In Usova's classes, the plans were displayed on posters written on the board or placed on each student's desk. Now they are published in textbooks and often posted on classroom walls. The same plans are recommended for doing homework. According to the plans, students learn to understand what is the most important in the text, what to focus on, how to build clear and consistent answers. The inexorable flow of time changes physics education. Now virtual reality mobile applications allow students to visualize natural objects and phenomena, abstract concepts, complex mental models, many non-intuitive learning elements, and also interact with and modify them. Virtual tours, physical quantities, and physical phenomena, Brownian motion, are based on the idea of generalized plan. The student is located in the center of the VR sphere, views and interacts with learning elements through a virtual reality device and controllers. The description of the generalized plans is placed on the inner surface of the virtual sphere. Students explore the phenomenon through a mobile VR app, then talk about it on the basis of generalized plan, which can be shown as subtitles to guide the learner. Once the plan is mastered, the subtitles can be removed. The plans are simple and clear, and it is typical for students to be interested in them. Both mobile applications are universal. In principle, any quantities and phenomena can be studied with VR tools. These applications are based on virtual tour technologies and can be launched on VR devices, tablets, and computers. Virtual reality allows us to be inside and outside an object, see three-dimensional versions, and explore phenomena that are not available in the school physics laboratory. But no matter how exciting virtual reality is, physics learning should be related to the real natural world. Both mobile apps are only VR guides for learning physical quantities and phenomena. Physics is an experimental science, and we should teach physics with natural observations, measurements, and experiments. Teaching guidelines, virtual reality software, visualization methods, and teaching materials were tested in both on-site and online physics classes in individual and groups lessons in 2022 to 2025. Some results on individual interviews with secondary school students are presented in the table on this slide. Virtual reality is now the queen of educational technologies. Students are interested in virtual reality, and it is not surprising. Usova's innovative ideas are still relevant for teaching physics today. Generalized plans are characterized by clarity, availability, symmetry, elegance, and simplicity of design and structure. And they are surprisingly compatible with all branches of physics, as well as with the new virtual reality learning technologies. And finally, there are two gifts on this slide. Two of my VR panoramas. They are absolutely free. You can use them as you wish. And now I'd like to I'd like to listen your questions. Thank you very much. You can use it as you wish.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Oleg. Please stop sharing the screen, Oleg.
Yes. Yes, I don't know how to stop it.
Yeah, you can close. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe somebody has any question.
Anyone, any question?
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Oleg. So our next presenter is Todd Hull, English Hancock University of Foreign Studies, Seoul, South Korea. Topic: Standard and non-standard grammar toward a correct understanding of grammar for classroom teachers. Abstract. A majority of the literature about grammar in the EFL classroom concerns what, if any, role the teaching of grammar has in foreign language teaching. This presentation, however, will address the validity of the grammar rules which are presented in classrooms around the world by differentiating between descriptive and prescriptive approaches to grammar. It will define grammar, outline what a grammar error is and who makes grammar errors. It will then discuss how many of the purported rules that underpin curricula around the world are not rules but instead confusions with and reactions against natural language change. Confusion of common tendencies with grammar rules and the conflation of grammar and style. It will then give some concrete examples of these. Then it will discuss the implications for learners of a misunderstanding of grammar. Finally, it will address some common questions about understanding grammar properly in the descriptive sense rather than from a prescriptive standpoint.
major misconception is that natives and so do natives it's actually also there and some so I will discuss some of the I'll give some examples. What's false? For example, sleep false distinction between I'll talk about patients with partners. So patients I believe there are about describing extent research. One of those it so I will and well, Jeff Bolt is getting a pretty so that's a grammar, especially amongst native speakers, is vital. And that is they've been true. So remember to describe unfortunately, this is most often based on vague and arbitrary thinkings about correct them are not based on scholarship is so what is correct memory?
good way to describe this. Another way to describe grammar is effort by native speakers of the language who are over the age of 6. So, for example, if a native speaker automatic, forceful. So, of course, everything is not grammatical, but on so it makes real grammar. All big grammar speakers, native speakers, age of thousands, variation. And now, special common mistakes made by these based on one of these is labeled change in shipping. Another finally, as I mentioned before, getting used to. So this is a sure. So two. Okay, let's talk about the labeling name. All right, so a lot of languages change. All languages change, and just should change. If they don't change, they'll remain static. So it's change. A language. Okay, so knowledge that this language did change. But what they actually say, they do not like state fellow native speakers are saying, and they to and oftentimes can't speakers for they can photograph the scholar David Crystal points out that it's ironically the prescriptiveness yes today the laughing tomorrow when prescriptiveness of tomorrow casting. So, for example, there was a controversy around for prescriptiveness in the century. Nation well, of course, these days, churches, classrooms, chapters, everybody is doing so language changes in that takes language. Yes, natives. But variants say that these people are speaking according to tendencies are actually speaking. So now attendance is historic or some monumental that historical for So, and give is a part of the case. We have freedom of speech as storage, mental word stays top. And the events that led up to the speech, the mundane events, would be referred to as a story. Now that is a tendency, but there are speakers will use historically or specific historic tradition. For example, the CNN host did this, which said, "Stay with me for developments of this historical day." Now that is not a error. She is just doing something that is not quite tendency. She is a speaker. So the appearance of Latin American characters in Williamsburg another example here. Besides the historic fact of their representation in North Florida, is also use. So here, historic where historic. So grammarians say that we have to use historic in one way and historic in another way. Are wrong about that. Native speakers of the trend are not speaking. Some of these grammarians have they elevate. So, for example, all the intrusive. So a lot of political developments of say that's wrong. That's they call this intrusive love. They say should not that big. This is 100% idiosyncratic, personal, and nothing. However, should lay versus line. Grammarians love to make a distinction between lay and line. Before native speakers and possibly. Well, turns out you go back to this paper very much castigated for being useful, right? So yeah. Well, there's information about one speaker, right? In native speaker. What does that do to the classroom? Does that bring confusion to the classroom? So teachers who may not be native speakers, when they go look something up to try to tell their students what's correct, they find all kinds of information to results of these degrees. Pernicious oftentimes using what variants called the program can actually lead to castigation statements. Finally, some serious real so in and student fills in the blank with given down the map with the word lay, they'll be penalized. And how competitive atmosphere. And actually a little bit between getting into just sort of now that is a real how these misconceptions actually okay. Sometimes when we talk about grammar being descriptivist, so describing what actually rather than describing about what should do. There are some questions on that. One is, well, if we don't adhere to scripted truths, what language is to simply chaos? No, and here is a quote. That quote. Discourse communities are systems of which integrate naturally and always. Language never changes fast enough to disintegrate and make living a distinct so we do not need to language naturally regulates us. So there is no need of scripts. Now, if we're writing a very yes, we might dictates of those variants. But we should be very careful that these are stylistic choices. Another FAQ is, well, we allow flexibility. Again, this is this actually is about this. But all we need to do is tell students they need to use the restrictor. But they actually how to which is as described. Scholars of language are and grammarians and lay people are often so what we want to be is descriptive. We want to describe language, not yes, that's correct. All sorts of the people who make grandparents, children, saints, and those. So, examples are not all fun examples of natural language change, or personal. So a lot of times not functional. Implications for the classroom. The lack of programmatic knowledge by educators can actually have further because it can cause confusion in the classroom, which can lead to non-standard performance on things like that. Finally, misconceptions like are also well and living names. So students can be informed about which language.
Machine learning engineering is a popular choice in today's career landscape. But where do you start? From designing a machine learning system to deploying them in a scalable manner, this session dives deep.
Okay, thank you, Todd Hull, for the wonderful presentation.
Sure, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to have the chance to have presented. Looking forward to the next presenter.
Thank you so much. So our next presenter is Fatma Betul Burhan, Faculty of Art and Science, Nevşehir Haki Bektaş Veli University, Turkey. Topic: the relationship between innovative regions and social capital in Turkey. Social capital as a resource shaped by trust, cooperation, norms, and networks of social relations enhances the collective action capacity of individuals and communities. This study aims to analyze the causal relationship between social capital and innovation and to assess its potential implications for regional development strategies. To that end, Turkey's nuts I regions were examined over the period 1995-2023 based on their innovation performance. Using the most recent data from 2023, the relationship between regional innovation performance and social capital index values was investigated via correlation analysis. Innovation performance was measured using R&D expenditures, utility model counts, and patent counts, all drawn from the Turkish Patent and Trademark Office and the Turkish Statistical Institute. The findings reveal moderate to strong positive and statistically significant correlations between social capital and innovation indicators. This suggests that social capital supports local innovation capacity through mechanisms such as knowledge sharing, trust formation, and a culture of collaboration. By addressing the concept of social capital within a special context and examining its interaction with innovation from a geographical perspective. This study seeks to make an original contribution to the literature. Okay, Fatma, please start your presentation. Okay, let's move ahead with the next presenter. Anca Ileana Desca, Faculty of Law, University of Craiova, Romania. Topic: climate change, myth or reality. Regarding the topic of climate change, the attitude seems to be a trailing one, either a total acceptance or a steep skepticism. The attitude seems to be explained even by the fact that the subject under discussion is not understood by 99.9% of the planet's population, who do not even understand its meaning. Constantly bombarded by the notion of follow the science, that is to put our trust in science for solving the supposed climate problems. If until a few years ago the majority of published climate books were in full agreement on the subject, in the last few years dissenting voices have begun to be heard. Different or opposing opinions are expressed, and published by retired university professors and experts. Therefore, they no longer fear that deviating from the official position of politicians and industries that stand to profit from climate policies could negatively affect their professional reputation. Thus, for example, Stephen E. Coonan, the author of the recently published book Unsettled, What Climate Science Tells Us, what it doesn't, and why it matters. In his conclusions also includes that there are major discrepancies regarding global warming and more chosen to what extent the temperature of the planet will increase if we continue to use traditional fuels, coal, natural gas, and crude oil. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is as high today as it was 300 million years ago. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increasing, but it will only become a concern 250 times in 500 years from now. The official rhetoric. Climate is defined as a synthesis of the weather over a period of time long enough to allow certain statistical characteristics of it to be determined. In climatology, according to international agreements, the 30-year period 1961 to 1990 is called the reference period. At the beginning of the 1970s, the notion of a climate system was introduced into the climate theory, which includes the atmosphere, the ocean, the land surface, the biosphere, and the cryosphere, considered as subsystems. The different nature of these interacting subsystems generates climate variability. The atmosphere is defined by the dictionary as the gaseous envelope made of air which surrounds the earth without a precise upper limit, gradually passing into extraterrestrial space, and air is a mixture of gases absolutely necessary for aerobic life, comprising 78.09% nitrogen, 20.93% oxygen, 0.93% argon, 0.03% carbon dioxide, neon, helium, krypton, hydrogen, xenon, ozone, etc., and water vapor, dust, microorganisms. Thus, defined, it follows that in addition to the role of buffer protective mantle between the hard crust of the earth and the rest of the cosmos, the atmosphere also has the role of maintaining a temperature conducive to life on Earth. But above these roles, air is a fundamental element of the existence of life on Earth because it provides vital oxygen to ensure uh, physiological needs. In its capacity as an element of the living environment, air must meet a series of conditions expressed by temperature, humidity, purity, chemical composition, and these conditions must be within the tolerance limits of the human body and the existence of fauna and flora. Atmospheric pollution experienced, experienced an important increase with industrial development, and in the last decades there is a worrying expansion of it with serious consequences at the planetary level. Thus phenomena have appeared that have devastating effects both on the environment and on people's health, and we are talking in particular about the greenhouse effect, acid rain, smoke, the destruction of the ozone layer. Against all these effects, a series of legislative measures have been taken at the national and international level, of which we mention a few. International Law on Climate Change. On May 9, 1992, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was concluded in New York and was offered for signature in June 1992 during the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro. Entered into force on March 21, 1994 and has so far been ratified by 195 states parties to the convention. As it follows from its title, the convention is a framework which from the point of view of international law represents a premise for future negotiations and provides a legal foundation for subsequent decision and protocols. The convention has as its final objective to stabilize, according to the relevant provisions of the convention, the concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere at a level that prevents any dangerous anthropogenic disturbance of the climate system. The parties agreed to achieve this goal in a sufficient time frame for ecosystems to naturally adapt to climate change, for food production not to be threatened, and for economic development to take place in a sustainable manner. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change does not contain concrete and binding commitments on for parties to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which has been a disappointment for some states parties to the convention. It is precisely this absence of binding concrete commitments that give the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change the character of a soft law, international norm. Since the convention does not impose concrete obligations on states, but rather establishes a long-term evolutionary process of legal approach of the issues of climate change. It only states the objective and principles of this approach, establishes the necessary institutions and decision-making mechanism, promotes a system for centralizing some necessary information, and encourages national actions in the field. With the intention of continuing and strengthening the efforts made to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in the third session of the Conference of the Parties decided on 11 December 1997 the adoption of the Kyoto Protocol, which aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 5% compared to the level of the year 1990 in the period 2008 to 2012. As the first result and implementation step of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Kyoto Protocol committed the industrialized states and the EU in a binding policy and strategy to reduce GHG emissions, but on the way of using the planetary market of So conclusion, regarding the topic of climate change, the attitude seems to be a trailing one, either a total acceptance or a skepticism. The attitude seems to be explained even by the fact that the subject under discussion is not understood by 99.9% of the planet's population, who do not even understand its meaning, being constantly bombarded by the notion of follow the science, that is to put our trust in science for solving climate problems. If until a few years ago, the majority of published climate books were in full agreement on the subject, in the last few years, dissenting voices have begun to be heard. Different or opposing opinions are expressed and published by retired university professors and experts. Therefore, they no longer fear that deviating from the official positions of politicians and industries that stand to profit from climate policies could negatively affect their professional reputation. Okay, let's move ahead with the next presenter. So our next presenter for the day is Lena Lotta-Sticken, Faculty of Economics, FOM, University of Applied Science for Economics and Management, Sopron, Hungary, and Essen, Germany. Topic: the role of behavioral nudges in enhancing CEO decision-making for innovation. This study examines the intersection of CEO influence on innovation and the potential of behavioral nudging techniques through conceptual decision. Drawing on a structured review of relevant literature and a critical comparison of key concepts from nudge theory and upper echelons theory. A framework is developed to identify the central decision points in organization innovation. The proposed framework identifies key decision points in the innovation process, where nudges such as default options, social norms, and framing effects can be effectively deployed to mitigate cognitive biases and promote innovation-focused choices. This study also addresses potential challenges, including Okay, Lena, please give the presentation.
Yes, I will do it together with Safahuna. So we will share this presentation together. And yes, I will start. Hi, good morning all, and thank you, Eurasia Research, for having us, attending at this conference. It is a pleasure to join and listen to all these interesting research topics so far. We are Safa Huna and Lena Sticken, PhD students from Germany, studying at University of Sopron and from University in Germany. At the Faculty of Economics and Management. Let me introduce you to our presentation entitled The Role of Behavioral Nudges in Enhancing CEO Decision-Making for Innovation. In our study, we explore how decision architectures can be designed to better support CEOs in making strategic innovation decisions. Let's have a short view at the agenda. We will begin by outlining the problem statement and the theoretical foundation of this work. Next, we highlight the research gap and introduce our conceptual model. We conclude with a discussion in the end and practical implications. And yeah, of course, a brief outlook on future research. Today, Germany shows low innovation activity. Although Germany performs fairly well in an international comparison, the innovative capacity of German companies is stagnating. In the innovation process, the CEO, of course, have a central role. When it comes to innovation, they often have to face decision-making uncertainty that can lead to cognitive distortions that may lead to innovation resistance or flawed strategic decisions. We suppose that behavioral nudges can improve decision-making without limiting freedom of choice. Maybe at this point, a quick explanation what nudge or nudging is for those who don't know. Regarding Thaler, nudging means gently guiding people's decisions by changing how choices are presented without limiting their freedom of choice. Our aim with this study is to use these behavioral economic interventions to systematically address such biases and build improved decision architectures for innovation. Yeah, let's come to the theoretical concept. To bring together our research objects like CEO, innovation, and behavioral nudges, shown in this figure, our work is grounded in theories from both strategic management and corporate governance, like the Baekeland's theory, combined with classic behavioral economic theories like the theory of bounded reality and the nudge theory. Okay. I don't hear anything. Maybe I will go ahead. Yeah, I think I will go ahead. Let's come to the state of research so far. We can say that a limited empirical evidence is shown for this research topic.
Sorry, Lina, I can just take over. It was
I
couldn't unmute myself. But hello also
no
from my side,
problem.
and sorry for the technical problems. Anyway, let's get ahead and try to understand the research, the current research, to summarize it. First of all, there is very little empirical research that looks at how nudging works at the COO level. Where we know a lot about CEO personality and behavior from studies like Bertrand Shaw, we still don't know much about how behavior intervention like nudges influence their decisions. The second point is that CEOs play a major role. Their personality, their willingness to take risks, and their thinking style directly affect how innovations decisions are made. And the third one is also that existing studies show that nudges can help. For example, research by Stria and Galpin suggests that nudging can increase openness for new ideas, especially when the environment is uncertain. And last but not least, the third point was context matters. Many studies are based on US or Asian companies where CEOs have much more autonomy. In Germany, where boards and co-determination structures are stronger, the same nudges might not work in the same way. This highlights the need for more context-specific research. Driven by that, I try to get to the next page. On the next page, we place on our work in the broader research landscape. We reviewed key studies and grouped them into 3 areas. The first area is nudging and innovation. For example, Galpin and Miersch show how digital or environment nudges can help promote innovation by shaping decision environments. Second, research on CEOs and innovation. Javad and colleagues found that there are COO focus, their attention can significantly affect innovation outcomes. And the third one is the nudging and in management. Tiskowski and Renz show that managers are generally open to nudges and that this can influence decisions involving uncertain or risks. Together, the studies support our idea, but none of them combine all these 3 aspects, nudging, innovation, and COO decision-making, and that's the gap we want to address. On the next level, you see it on very in a very clear design. Disappeared growing research, a clear gap remains. There is still no models that links nudging strategy with COO decision-making under uncertainty. We know CEOs are key drivers of innovations and that nudges reduce cognitive bias, but these insights haven't been systematically combined. Our contribution is there. We developed a nudging typology to tolerate to CEOs traits and levels of uncertainty in strategic innovation context. And with that, I want to give back to you, Lena, for the model.
Thank you. Yeah, the method our study follows is a conceptual approach, drawing on, for example, Saylor and Gillard. The process includes 3 steps. First is the literature review in the domains of CEO, nudging, and innovation. Second is the development of a CEO typology and the formulation of corresponding proposition based on insights from the review. And finally, the construction of a conceptual model to illustrate how nudging can influence CEO decisions towards innovation. Okay, as a result, for step 1 and 2, based on the literature, 5 key propositions are identified that form the foundation for the conceptual model. The first points out the importance of the individual characteristics of the CEO that impact strategic decisions. The second describes the remarkable effect of nudging on decision-making. The third focus on the individual CEO characteristics impacting corporate innovation capacity. And the fourth one describes the benefits of nudging in general and especially when it comes to innovation. And finally, the fifth says that nudging can reduce uncertainty together with heuristic decision support. Okay, based on the propositions I named before, we have developed this conceptual model in step number 3. Let me explain its main components. The A area is the CEO typology that my colleague named 2 minutes ago. The CEO typology is considering differences in the individual CEO attributes, here named like type 1, type 2, and type 3. B is the level of cognitive biases that impact CEO decision-making on 3 different levels: individual, organizational, and contextual. And C are the nudge types that counteract the drivers of cognitive biases. And on the right side, you see that all results in the quality of innovation decisions.
Let's now turn to our core hypotheses, which are based on the 3 levels of decision making bias we introduced earlier by Lena, my colleague, the individual, organization, and contextual. Each level involves typical cognitive distortion that can block innovation, like overconfidence, groupthink, or ambiguity aversion. We will link this bias to specific behavior nudges that they are supported by research. The hypothesis 1 focus on the individual level. It suggests that nudges addressing personal bias, such as overconfidence or loose aversion, can improve innovation decision. For example, feedback or reframing nudges may be especially helpful for CEOs with a more risk-averse personality. Hypothesis 2 looks at the organization level. Here, nudges like peer comparisons or reset defaults can help overcome group-based biases, like a sunk cost fallacy, encouraging teams to let go of failing projects and try new paths. Hypothesis 3 focus on the context level, specifically external uncertainty from regulation or market complexity, nudges that clarify information or provide structured decision scenarios can help CEOs navigate this uncertainty more efficiently. Together, these theses offer a testable model that links nudging technicals to real outcomes, like better decision quality and innovation success. This is the outcome from our work, and to give therefore a conclusion of our work, we argue that applying behavior nudges at the CEO level is a promising but underused level to enhance innovation decision. Unlike traditional governance, which relies on rules and incentives, our approach focus on designing smarter decision environments, supporting better outcomes without restricting CEO autonomy. That is very important from our side. Naturally, there are limitations. I completely agree. We must avoid overestimation CEO influence, as it may be integrated with innovation outcomes, and nudging fatigue can occur if interventions are perceived manipulative. Still, there are clear practical opportunities. Create innovation communities that embed nudges into executive decision making, use feedback loops to add and learn, appoint behavior advisors in strategic teams. Overall, we see this not as a replacement, but as a complete to traditional governance, stretching innovation with minimal bureaucracy. And last but not least, our references we used to find out these researches and do the investigations here. And by this, in the name of Lena and me, I would say thank you all for for listening, and completely open for any questions or feedback.
Thank you.
Questions, and I think we can go back to you. And yeah. I think you're on mute, sorry.
So our next presenter is Sergio Silven, Department of Communication Sciences and Information Technologies, University of Maia, Portugal. Topic: explainable predictive analytics for smart healthcare using a modular hybrid intelligence framework. So, Sergio, please give a presentation. Are you there, Sergio? To everyone, we have posted a presentation of Sergio Silva. This is the presentation. Okay, now Ilyana, please please give a presentation. Ilyana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let me share my screen. Just a second. Can you see the screen? Oh, can I make it bigger? Everyone can see my screen?
Yes, everything's all right.
Yes,
Okay, perfect. So, hello, my name is Juliana Breja. Thank you for having me here. I'm a PhD student in marketing, and today I will briefly present the paper Social Media, Social Readers, Exploring Bookstagram's Impact in Romania. Okay. The ways in which individuals interact with literary publications are increasingly shaped by the digital environment in which we found ourselves, namely the evolution of web technologies and their frequent a need for a frequent development in readers' lives, daily lives, builds the need for readers to turn online digital space for their next chosen reading. Most notably, books are being discussed and browsed in a new way, in a different way, adhering to social networks and their opportunity to create connections with other individuals regarding their geographical space. So if you are in a different location, it doesn't matter if you cannot see the person face to face, but you can share your ideas, your likes, and your next read. A real example is the Bookstagram community, which is considered an online space for enthusiasts where visual appeal is combined with the passion for reading, as I said earlier, offering for the end users the unique content based on recommendations and their desire to share opinions with and about their next read, the books they are reading. Accordingly, this paper explores this virtual environment from the perspective of understanding the relationships between the dynamics of interactions between the members of this community and, of course, their book consumption behavior. So we wanted to see how these Bookstagram community members are reacting to different content and different activities in this community. In terms of the research approach that the study uses, it aims to capture the experiences and behaviors of respondents through a qualitative analysis using the diary method. Next, the following research objectives are outlined for this study. Objective 1, to examine the reading preferences and habits of members. Sorry, I think, okay, this one is. So the objective 1, to examine the reading preferences and habits of members of the Romanian Bookstagram community. Objective 2, to investigate the role of recommendations from the Bookstagram community in Romania on book buying behavior. And objective 3, investigating the role that the information found in the Romanian Bookstagram community has on the emotional state of its members. So, the main instrument chosen for the data collection, as I said earlier, is the diary sheet, and the participants in this research were instructed to answer a series of predetermined questions daily over a period of 12 days. The created and structured diary template was provided each day at a time set by the interviewer. In other words, the questions included in the study were related to reading habits, frequency of reading, the fluctuation of their preferences, and of course the interaction with certain information that was distributed online in the Bookstagram community. The interaction with Bookstagram was also taken into account, where we mention recommendations or any other type of content, as well as the book purchasing behavior and motivations of the purchasing activity. The respondents contacted and registered for the present study were chosen as active members of the community, of the Romanian Bookstagram community. So we have an equal number of members that were recruited that represent both Bookstagram influencers, so people who frequently share images and information on the Bookstagram community and recommend books for other people, and simply users that they follow these book influencers. So the target population is composed of adults over 18 years old who are actively part of the community. For objective 1, we can highlight some revealing data for the study, namely out of 14 participants, only half of them had daily interactions with the world of books. The remaining 7 community members fluctuated between 7 and 11 activities in the literary world over the 12 days that we conducted the diary method, but there was at least one person each day who did not interact with any of the literary phenomenon. Taking these aspects into account, we can affirm that community members invest their personal time in actions conditioned by the presence of books. So, therefore, reinforces the passion and commitment to both reading and maintaining intellectually healthy habits. So, in the 21st century, we can say that all the respondents have visited an online bookstore at least once, while only 8 users have physically visited the space. In particular, the main preference of the participants is to browse the store website in order to actually go to the store physically. Next, to understand objective 2, we track respondents' likelihood of being influenced to purchase a book over the 12 days. In other words, when asked if they had purchased a book recommended by a Bookstagrammer, a book influencer, as I said earlier, or Bookstagram community member in the representative day, 6 members said they had not purchased one or more books during all the 12 days. Also, 3 participants selected that in one day they were willing to purchase several recommended books. Moreover, for the actual purchase of the books without recommendation, the situation slightly differs because since the total number of respondents who purchased is 9, not all of them actually bought it, but is more than the recommended books. However, we can state that for the period of the research, the 12 days I was talking earlier, for each day, there is at least one participant who has purchased a recommended book, the maximum being 4 people in one day. So at least 4 people actually bought books every day. There is also at least one person who has purchased a non-recommendation book every day. For objective 3, we tracked the emotions that community members experience when interacted with existing content on Bookstagram. In fact, we can state all of the participants recorded book influencer following behavior during those 12 days. So they actually watched or comment or liked or shared content that book influencers posted in the Bookstagram community. There is at least a minimum of 6 minutes that our participants interacted with this behavior, and a maximum of 990 minutes. So this was the maximum a person actually spent during these 12 days scrolling through the Bookstagram community. In relation to the information that the research participants came into contact with, we can state that the majority felt positive emotions, including excitement, 65 mentions, amazement, 51 mentions, and happiness with 47 mentions. So the influence that the content of the Bookstagram community has on the well-being of its members is high, giving them a pleasant experience and associating positive moods with various activities that are supported in this virtual space. This thinking encourages them to return constantly. So that's why people actually, during the 12 days, they were coming back for the content. So and we also observed this in the case of the present participants who, as I said, checked 12 days out of 12. This qualitative study highlights how the Bookstagram phenomenon manages to influence the book consumption of Romanian users. In other words, reading habits are largely sustained by the interaction existing in this ecosystem that is created by Bookstagram, and behaviors, and moreover, we can say that book-related preferences and behaviors can be shaped during this interaction in the community. Moreover, the list of positive emotions that we talked earlier reflects the feeling of well-being that the members of Bookstagram community have in relation to this content they are constantly consuming. Thus, there is excitement in gaining new information, amazement when learning about different literary genres, and new perspectives, as well as happiness and content with the knowledge that they gain from the post, from the discussions, and the interactions altogether that they had in the community. Likewise, when respondents were asked about their motivation to read a book after a day of indulging in the defining elements of Bookstagram, they overwhelmingly say they would be willing to complete this activity. So they would want to read a day after they spent to read a book after they spent a day in the Bookstagram community. Limitation for the present research is its sample, both in terms of the predominant gender, the fact that there is a lack of male representation, and the fact that the potential participants refused when asked to participate. So because the diary method is a longitudinal method of analysis, people were discouraged. Quite a large number of respondents were discouraged to actually complete it. So we asked 24 individuals, 99 of them drop out along the way, and one of them said no even from the start. Also, the qualitative nature of this method, which is valuable for analyzing consumer behavior, can be problematic in terms of the honesty of respondents, as the data cannot be checked for real accuracy. In terms of future research, we can talk about expanding the sample to cover both females and males who fulfill the selection criteria and cover a larger area of the country if possible. In other words, one recommendation is to increase and diversify the participating population. That was my presentation. I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Juliana, for the fabulous presentation.
Thank you. If you have any questions.
Anyone, any question?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so our next presenter is Jero Rafael Cortes Lizarazo.
Thank you. I present now. Is possible see my presentation in this moment?
Yeah, please
No.
start the presentation.
No. Okay. My God. Yes, really?
Yes, everything is all right. We see your presentation.
Okay. My name is Jairo Cortez, and I am pleased to present our research titled Discrete Element Method Simulation of Contact Evolution in Granular Jamming. This work explored how geometry and science to tire bodies affect the gripping behavior of soft robotics grippers that rely on granular jamming using discrete element simulation. What is the granular jamming? Generally, is the principle widely used to solve robotics. This gripper consistent of a single membrane filled with the granular material typical and particular particles like sand to plastic beds. When vacuum applied to the particles, compound transition from the loose deformant to the state lower behind structure. This transformation enables to the groupers to conform and securely hold objects of various shapes and sizes without the required complex and simple to control system. This technical described by Ahmed and in the 2012 is particular used for manipulation of fractally rarely shaped items. What is them? To understand how the granular rippers interact with different objects. We use a discrete element methods or them is a numerical approach to the simulation for moving the interaction of a large number of discrete particles, each particle behind or independently, and trajectory computed by solving Newton's and Euler equation for motion. This technical is especially for the modeling granular system because it provides detailed information about content, force, particle behaviors, and stress distribution throughout the material. In this slide and this tab is on the condition initial condition. Yes. In our study, we ANSYS Rocky commercial DEM simulation platform. Is a digital model for granular jamming, gripping, and simulation interaction with different target geometries. Our focus was observe how to continue distribution involved during the grasping process. This includes no measure force, but also identify how to particle interaction channel, especially of gripper at different objects. For example, in this slide is the contact model and the step the simulation to contact behavior. We implement three key interaction models. Static linear spring for elastic deformation, linear spring with Coulomb limit for tactical friction, and rolling resistant model to bring unrealistic free rotation. All particles were modeled as pairs, and the membrane was represented as a flesh shell with several target bodies, 20 millimeters spheres and 30 millimeters spheres, and X and a Philip X. It will the STL geometry is important to Rocky. Grain size was filed in the result challenge here to millimeters, a value to offers a good trade for between resolution and computational cost. Um, a simulation overview, this is a process involving interesting the grains in the membrane, lowering the grains onto the target body, and applying vacuum loads. This result particularly is combination to formation of contact point with the object to track it, both the force vector extending the X and Z direction and the distribution over time. For example, this line, e.g., let's now review the results starting with the frequency of geometry with grain size to 2 millimeters. We observed that the maximum force in the x direction is 5.7 newtons and 8.3 newtons in the z direction. The maximum normal external force is 65.5 megapascal. Distribution of the constant zone was not uniform, while some areas showed density clustering of grain and others with the minimal or no contact, especially near the pointer of the shape. The sugar tad more complex geometry changes the adaptability of the granular medium. X and spheres when comparing other geometries we found the smaller spherical target consistently generally higher gripping force, e.g. the 20 millimeters sphere produces more uniform and extreme contact zone than the 30 millimeters sphere or the X-like shape. This can be explained by better surface conformance and packing fencing around compact rounding objects. Irregular or asymmetric shapes allow the more fragment contact band, limiting the maximization gripping for the clue be transmitted. El contact evolution analysis was the particular interest in how the contact zones involve a gripper approach and presence of the object. In asymmetric geometries, the contact point develops more gradually and evenly in contrast. For the flying X, we offer a broad transmission for minimal contact to location interlude, followed by redistribution of contact areas at the backbone intensity. This dynamic evolution is essential to start to understand that when design prepare for real-world application where objects cannot always be predicted. Conclusion, our simulation revealed that object geometry and scale play a fundamental role in the gripping performance and contact evolution of a jamming grippers. A smaller and more regular object provides stronger and more stable contact, while irregular shape care uneven distribution that compromise reliability. This study demonstrates the value of dense simulation as design diagnostic tools in a soft robotics, provide details inside that are difficult to capture through physical experiment alone. Reference and acknowledgement. Acknowledgement at the Universidad Militar Nueva Granada for supporting this work, serving project EMB EAG 4181. Thanks. Thanks everyone. If I want a question. Oh, excuse, I didn't start to the video. Sorry. Any question? Eurasia, you have the microphone closed. Eurasia Research, you have the microphone closed.
So our next presenter is Camilo Miranda, Faculty of Engineering Campus, New Granada Military University, Cajica, Colombia. Topic: Effect of particle shape and size on the gripping performance of a granular jamming gripper or DEM based study. Okay, Camilo, please give the presentation. Can you hear me, Camilo? Camilo, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, Camilo, please start the presentation.
Yes. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Camilo Miranda, and today I am going to share you our work titled Effect of the Particle Size and Shape on the Gripping Performance of a Granular Jamming Gripper at the Embassy Study. And what is granular jamming? Granular jamming grippers are soft robotic systems, fascinating examples of robotics capable to conforming securely crisp objects of different shapes and fragilities. They work by enclosing a flexible membrane filled with granular material, such as coffee powder or salt, and others granular materials. Um, when vacuum is applied, the grains compact and transition from a fluid to a solid state, creating a strong and adaptive grip. This concept by popularized by Brown and College in 2010, who demonstrated the potential of jamming grippers as universal sensors and manipulators. The discrete element method, DM, is a computational approach used to study mechanical behavior of the grains during the grasping. We employ the discrete element method uh, for model the motion and interaction of individual particles inside of membrane. And the trajectory and rotation of each particle are computed by solving Newton's and Euler's equation of motion. In our study, we employed the DEM software and Rocky to simulate how the granular material interact with various target bodies using different modeling strategies. Well, a parametric equation of the shape for the shape is in the simulations. We relate on a parametric equation described by Denley and clearly, where parameters can be adjusted to generate various variation in geometry. This approach allowed us to create target objects ranging from sphere to more complex ellipsoidal and irregular forms, capturing a wide of spectrum of practical grasping scenarios. We varied the parameters A, B, and C for factor form in M or alpha. Another important property we considered was the packaging the fraction. This is a dimensionless quantity representative, the fraction of the container volume that is occupied by the grains. It provides insights into how densely particles are arranged and consequently how effectively they can transmit forces during the jamming process. For example, higher packaging fraction often correlate with better load distribution and more stable grasping. The individual volume of each particle divided by volume of the region containing the grains are computed in DM simulation for calculate what is the packaging fraction of different shapes of grains. And this is for this study we have 4 different shapes. The first is polyhedron, second is spheropolygon with packaging fraction 0.65, briquette in the old one, sphere. The simulation, how we are mentioned using ANSYS Rocky. The setup of the simulation consists in set up the type of grain, the shape, size, 6, 4, 2 millimeters, and what is the quantity of the material grain. And results effect of the particle shape. The second set of the results examined the impact of the particle shape. Our findings indicate the shapes plays a critical role in the mechanical performance of the gripper. For example, irregular polyhedron grains tended to develop higher forces than briquette or spheropolygon grain. This is likely because irregular shapes interlock more effectively and reduce internal slipping when vacuum is applied. The forces in z-axis or x-axis guarantees the manipulate of the target of the tip. In this case was a sphere of 30 millimeters. In addition to grain characteristics, we also evaluated how different target geometries influence the gripping process. For instance, smaller spherical objects produce the higher gripping forces due to the compact contact surface, while larger or elongated bodies exhibited more localized contact zones and less uniform force distribution. The result highlighting the importance of considering both the granulate properties and the object geometry when designing jamming grippers. In conclusion, our study demonstrated that broad particle size and shape significantly impact the gripping performance of granular jamming grippers. Smaller particle improves contact density and packaging efficiency, while more regular geometries enhance interlocking the stability under rod. This insight underscores the value of DM simulation as a predictive tool for optimizing gripper designs before physical prototyping. Accurate modeling of discrete interaction is essential to develop more reliable and adaptable soft robotic systems. This is our reference. And in a long run, I would like to thank Universidad Militar Nueva Granada now for supporting this research through our project INB 4181. Thank you for all for this attention.
Yes, Camilo, please stop sharing the screen. Thank you so much, Camilo, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you, everyone, for the outstanding presentation today. Okay, thank you. With great pleasure and enthusiasm, I would like to conclude that the conference was a great success. Many people have contributed in different ways to turn this event into a smoothly running conference with very interesting presentations. This conference has resulted in good discussions and networking. I owe my gratitude to all the presenters and patient learners, listeners, to the coordinators and the whole staff of Eurasia Research for their constant support. I would also like to thank all the universities and institutes who have sponsored our participants and people who have directly or indirectly contributed in the smooth conduct of this conference. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well.
Thank you
Thank you
too.
so much and enjoy your day.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Eurasia.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye
very
bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.